All right then, good. We are going to start in a kneeling position this morning. So let's just take a moment. I'm going to take one hand on the belly, one hand on the chest. Just take a moment to close the eyes. Bring ourselves onto the mat. Just take a moment to focus. And then take 3 deep breaths and really feel the body rise and fall. So inhaling through the nose. And exhaling through the mouth. 2 more times in your own time. And release the hands. Just to take a moment to roll the shoulders out. And before we start, again, like I said yesterday, never force yourself into a pose. Really try and tune into the body, understand what it needs, take modifications wherever you need to. I'll offer them as we go as well. So yeah, enjoy the session. So we're going to start by just coming up onto the knees. Send the right leg out to the side and send the left hand down to the mat, coming into a little side plank. Supported side plank, I should say. Stretch that right arm up to the ceiling. And take 2 breaths here. Gazing up to the fingertips. And then exploring this movement, we're just going to send the chest and the gaze down towards the mat. And then stretch the arm forward. And then we're just taking 2 more breaths here, noticing how that changes the stretch, noticing any different sensations in the body. And then opening the chest up towards the ceiling, stretching that arm further back. Gently beginning to open up the body. Send the hand back up to the ceiling and then pulling the body back up, untucking or tucking that leg back to come into our kneeling pose, and then sending the left leg out to come into that supported plank on the other side. Stretching the left arm up towards the ceiling, looking towards the fingertips. 2 breaths here. And then exploring that movement again by sending the chest down, stretching that left arm forward. And then bringing that arm up, opening the chest up to the ceiling, sending that left arm back. 2 more breaths. Keeping that leg nice and stretched, and then coming back to center. Bringing that left leg back to meet the right. And then we're coming into our tabletop position. We're going to take a few rotations before coming into our cat-cow. So I need to really send the bum back towards the heels, but make big circles with the bum, pressing away. Going in one direction, we'll do this for 4. Creating a little bit of movement in the spine and the hips. And try and make that movement as big as you can. Bending the elbows as we come back, making that movement nice and fluid. And as we come back, sending the circles the other way. Again for 4. Where if your knees click a little bit here, mine definitely do this time in the morning anyway. Just starting to feel into the body. And then coming back to center, we're going to take our cat-cow, but with a slight variation. So I want you to take your right hand first and twist out to the right and bring the fingers facing towards the body, gently pressing that hand down and see how that changes. So the left hand stays the same, but where the right fingers are facing towards the body. And we're just doing this, we're going to be working in our down dog for a little bit this morning, so I just want to warm the wrists up a bit. So take your cat-cow, so inhaling, pressing the belly button towards the back, towards the mat, raising the chest, raising the head, and then exhaling, rounding the spine, dropping the head. Noticing where you feel, whether you feel any sensation in that right arm from changing the rotation in the hand. And just flowing with the breath in our cat-cow. And we'll do this for 4 rotations. Nice and fluid with the breath again. And on the next exhale, coming back to center. Slowly untwisting that hand and doing the same on the left hand side. So twisting that left hand, getting the digits to face the body, just settling in, even spread between both hands on the mat, and then finding that cat-cow fluid movement with the breath, inhaling and exhaling, rounding the back. Just taking a moment to notice any sensations that we're creating within the body by just changing something quite small in the way that we hold this pose. It's those small little movements that can really add to our practice. Coming away from prescribed alignment sometimes. Good. Now coming back, slowly unrotating that hand. And then just take a moment to roll onto those wrists. So the circular movement we're making now is just focusing on putting a little bit of weight into those wrists. Good. And then just take a moment to press back into child's pose. Just to allow us to release the hands, just give them a little roll out. And you can come back to child's pose at any point in this practice. If something doesn't feel good in the body this morning, do not push it. Always available to come into child's pose should you need. Okay, so pulling the hands back onto the mat, lifting the head. I'm going to tuck those toes and then press back into our first downward facing dog. Taking a moment to just check our alignment here. Hands nice and flat on the mat, really pressing away. Nice deep bend in the knee to get length in the spine. And really pedal those feet out. Make this dog nice and mobile to start with. Really working into those feet. Sending the weight from one foot to the other. And find a little stillness. And then I want you to take your right leg and just cross it over the left foot. So it just lands to the outside edge of your left foot. Keep pressing away into the mat and just send the weight into that left heel. So you'll have a bend in this right leg. You can take a bend in the left leg if that feels good. We're just sending a little bit more weight through the left leg for a few breaths. Keep breathing. Breathing into the stretch. If this is feeling heavy on the wrists, you might want to shift the hands forward just so you get a little bit more length. Good, one more breath here. And then bring that right foot back, finding your down dog again, just for a moment before we send that left foot across the right, just stepping it over. Nice deep bend in that leg, and then really sending the weight into the heel of that right foot. Don't worry if that heel doesn't touch the mat, it's not important. Well, we're just looking to gain a little bit of sensation in that right leg. Breathing into that stretch. Nice. And then uncross the foot. And then looking forward, bending the knees, and then walking or stepping to the top of the mat. Just finding a little halfway lift, so taking the hands to the knees, the tops of the shins, pulling the shoulders back, nice and length in the spine. Just a moment here before we take a forward fold. So we're really working to the hamstrings this morning. So we're just going to take a moment to explore the forward fold. It's a really good indicator of where our hamstrings are at. So what I want you to do is just take a nice deep bend in the knee. We're going to send the chest forward. So rather than rounding the spine and hanging down like this, we're moving the chest towards the thighs. So bend the knees as much as you need to allow the chest to come down and towards the thighs. And then when you reach that sort of sticky point, see if you can send the bum higher and see if you can feel any sensation in the backs of the legs there. When you've reached that sweet spot, drop the head down and grab the elbows with each hand. And breathe. See if you're holding any tension in the belly. It'll be really easy in this forward fold if we're feeling any sensation in the back of the legs to hold on to some tension in the belly. See if you can release the belly and see if that makes any difference to this forward fold. Take a little sway from side to side. Just really exploring that movement. Good. And release the hands down. Make the body nice and floppy now. And then try and roll, keeping the hands nice and loose. Roll the body up, keeping that head hanging down. Rolling the spine, vertebra by vertebra, until we finally reach a standing pose or a mountain pose. Just taking a moment here as I'm aware that I've been folding forward quite a bit. You might feel a little rushy in the head, pretty high in the morning. Ground through the feet. Take a moment here, send the palms forward. Feel strong in that mountain pose. Finding the breath again. Just taking a couple of breaths to ground and center. And then we're going to dive forward again, sending the chest forward, taking a bend in the knee, finding that forward fold. But this time, sending the hands down to the mat, it's just the fingertips that touch, absolutely fine. We're going to take a really deep bend in the left knee. See if we can straighten the right leg out a little bit. Placing the left hand down, twisting the body open and reaching towards the sky with the right palm. And we're taking 3 breaths here. Good. Take the gaze back down to the mat, release that right hand. Take a moment to recenter before taking a nice deep bend in the right leg now. Straightening out that leg, the left leg, sorry. Placing that right hand down and lifting the left arm up and open towards the ceiling. Breathing here. Good. Release that hand, placing those hands down on the mat. And sending the body up, forward, halfway lift. And then we're going to send the hands into the heart center in a prayer. Set the left foot back to come into a high lunge. Raise those arms up. Find nice, even balance between both feet. So we're pressing through the left heel, pressing into the right leg, sinking into that right leg. And really taking a moment here to feel strong in that high lunge. You can take a slight variation here with the hands by sending them behind the back and finding reverse prayer. Opening the chest up. Continuing to send the weight forward into that right leg, firing it up. Good. And then releasing, we're going to work into this right leg. So releasing the hands down, just sending them to the mat to find a little bit of stability. And start looking like we're really leading the body forward now as we start lifting that left leg off the mat. Press into that right leg. Now you have the option to stay here and continue to lift the leg up to send the weight through and ground through the right foot. You then have the option to send that right hand forward onto the ground for a little bit of stability and try and open the body up to the left hand side, finding our half moon. This can be quite a challenging balance. It is even for me. Opening the body up to the side. And seeing if you can send the gaze up to the ceiling. Good. No problem if there are wobbles. We're challenging that weight through that right leg this morning. Good. Drop the gaze. Drop the left hand and the right hand to the mat. Stepping that left foot back. Dropping that back knee. Untuck the toes. Find that low lunge. Just take a moment there. Find the breath again. And we're not staying here too long. Just relaxing a little bit after that balance. And then press into this left leg. So we're sending this right foot up, pulling the big toes towards the body, finding a half split. So the body's staying up at the moment over this left leg. We're folding forward over the right leg. Don't worry if there's a bend in the knee. Absolutely fine. We're just looking for a little bit of engagement, a little bit of sensation in this right leg again. Pull the chest as we did in our standing forward fold, always leading with the chest, finding that length there. Rather than focusing on rounding the body, we're leading with the chest. We're taking 2 more breaths here. Good. Then we're going to continue to sink the weight into this left leg a little more until we end up sitting down onto that left foot. Right leg is still nice and stretched out ahead of us. We're dorsiflexing that foot to pull the big toes towards the body. And then we're just taking that forward fold as we did as we were stood up, but just noticing where that changes the stretch. And what I'd like to do here is then explore just turning that ankle out to the right and out to the left, finding a little bit of rotation internally and externally, and just noticing how that changes the stretch. And see where you want it this morning. See and find that sweet spot that feels nice, and then take a few breaths there. And always pulling that chest forwards to deepen that stretch. Really nice. And then gently start pulling the body back up, sinking into that right leg. Tuck the toes, lift that leg, and step that left leg forward to meet the right. Good. And now from here, we'll take the right leg back and find that high lunge sinking into the left foot. So we'll even things up now by going into the other side of the body. Again, take a moment to really sink down. Have the weight spread even in the left foot and the right foot. Option again to take the hands behind the body in reverse prayer. Open up the chest a little bit, but continue to send the weight through and down the body. Sinking, firing up that left leg now. One more breath before we start sending the weight forward. Placing the hands down on the mat and then just shifting ourselves forward to see if we can lift that back right leg now. Really grounding through this left foot, spreading the toes to help give ourselves a little bit more balance. And we have the option to stay here, or we can challenge a balance by just taking the left hand down to find a little bit of stability, and then opening the body up to the right to see if we can find our half moon, or something that resembles something like a half moon this morning. Stretching the body up and away, embracing the wobbles, embracing imperfections. Good. Each time we wobble, our body lands a little bit more. I'm not sure I'm going to get it on the left-hand side this morning. Good. Bring the body to face forward. Send hands down to the mat. Sink that right leg back down to the mat. Knee comes down, toes untuck. And find that low lunge on the left side now. 2 more breaths. Here, just slowing down, just trying to find that balance. And then starting to shift the weight back onto that right leg. Release the hands down. Pull the toes away from the mat and towards the body. Shifting that foot forward if you need to find a little bit more space in this half split. And then placing the hands either side of that left leg, taking a bend in the knee if you need to. And sending the chest forward, folding over the left leg. And when we've reached that sweet spot, just folding here and breathing into that stretch. Good. Then just raising the head, walking the hands back. Start shifting the weight back a little bit further to allow yourself to sit down onto that right foot. Keep pulling the big toes towards the body. And then folding the body down. And as we did on the right hand side, just exploring that internal and external rotation with the foot. So sending the foot over to the right and to the left. And then seeing where we want that stretch this morning. Maybe we keep the foot open to the left. Maybe it feels a little bit juicier if you take it to the right. These stretches will feel different in everybody, so it's always good to explore these movements and check in, see what the body needs. Really nice. And then sending the body up. Let's shift the weight forward onto that left foot again. Placing the hands either side. Tuck the back right toes. Step that left foot back. And find our downward facing dog. Pedal those feet out and just take a moment to notice whether those hamstrings feel any different to when we were in downward dog at the beginning of this session. We've worked into those hamstrings quite deeply. So just checking in. You might find that the heels are a little closer to the mat than they were to start with. Good. Just taking a moment here. And then bending the knees, looking forward, walking the feet forward to find ourselves in our seated position. And take a gentle forward fold here, nice deep bend in the knee, wrapping the hands around and just drop the head down to the forehead down to the knees, sorry. Couple of breaths here. And then just taking a moment to look up. Send the hands forward. Slowly roll the body all the way down onto the mat. And just releasing down. Send the feet flat to the mat. And then we'll just send the legs over to the right and then over to the left. So just windscreen wipering the legs. Feel free to cactus the arms on the floor. Just releasing any bits of tension that we might have in the hips and legs there. And just starting to slow the body down now. And then bringing the legs to stillness. Bring the knees towards the body. Take the shins with the hands. And just tuck the legs into the body. You might want to sway a little from side to side, give the back a little massage on the mat. Maybe make some circles with the knees. And then finally releasing down. Stretch those legs out. Send the palms to face up. And we're just going to take a moment to let the body absorb the work that we've put into it this morning. Steady the breathing. Release the body down. And just take a moment here in our Shavasana to scan through the body and our heads this morning. Release any tension that we might still be holding. Consciously releasing. And finding that stillness now. And then when we're ready, take a nice big stretch, send the hands above the head, pointing the toes, stretching big. And in your own time, just take a moment to find yourself in a comfortable seated position. I will just take a moment Close the eyes. Check back in. Consider the difference within ourselves from that half an hour ago as we started practice this morning together. Notice the breath. And we'll finish today's practice by taking hands to heart center. Give yourself a little bow for taking the time to practice this morning. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.